Well Together podcast. Welcome to Well Together podcast. In each episode, inspiring conversations from wellness experts will guide you towards a better life. If you are ready, let's start our healthy life journey. In this episode,
welcome back to the first episode of our second season. Our guest host, Michelle Shoenfeld, welcomes Zafer Çiftçi, a cognitive neuroscientist and wellness coach at TheLifeCo Holistic Wellbeing Center. Ever wondered how our emotions affect our overall health? Are you looking to break the cycle of stress eating? Interested in gaining insightful tips on managing weight gain? Tune in now as we delve into these topics and more. The journey to well-being together begins.
Welcome to a new episode of the Well Together podcast. I'm your host and well-being alchemist, Michelle Shoenfeld. In this episode, we will explore ways to enhance mental wellness by combining ancient wisdom with modern technology. We must take care in our bodies and minds together to be healthy holistically. However, despite being an essential aspect of overall well-being, mental wellness often doesn't receive the recognition it deserves, compared to physical health, of course. So to help us better understand how this all works and how to have the best well-being, we have brought in psychologist, cognitive neuroscientist, and lead wellness coach at TheLifeCo Holistic Wellbeing Center in Bodrum, Zafer Çiftçi. Welcome to this episode of the Well Together podcast.
Thank you, Miss Michelle. Thank you so much for welcoming me.
Thank you. We are so thrilled to have you today because this topic is hot. Hot right now, but just in general, because it's so important that we take care of our mental health, and there just isn't enough emphasis on it in mainstream. But it really should be. We should feel just as comfortable saying that we're not feeling good mentally or we have some issues as we do saying we have a cold or flu.
Great to hear that. It's really understandable, actually. As you explained, it's not very clear as the physical illnesses. So sometimes even we are not aware of it.
It's so true. So help us. How does our emotional well-being, stress levels, and cognitive abilities impact our overall health and our daily functioning?
This is really big question. As you said, emotional well-being, or let's say psychological well-being, is significantly linked to our physical health as well. Sometimes it's not very easy to detect those toxins as the ones, like the physical ones, because if you will be having physically ill, you can notice that with the medical history, you can see it in your blood also, but most of the cases, we are not understanding that there is a big mental portion of it. When we look at particularly how we manage stress and how we maintain our cognitive functions, so we start to gain little bit awareness about it. Starting from the beginning, the awareness is the key point here. But at the same time, when our emotional health is compromised, it can manifest in physical ways such as weight gain. This is often due to stress-related hormonal changes as well. When I consider particularly an increase in cortisol level, it can create huge effect on promote fat storage, especially around the midsection as well. So when you consider gaining weight is one of the significant effect on the bad health physically, it will be really important for our overall health as well. Also, our emotional state can drive behaviors like emotional eating, where you don't eat for your physical hunger. Actually, you expect some emotions behind of it, so you ate for that one. Actually, I would love to ask you as well, are you doing emotional eating in any point of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that's not a big trigger for me, but it is something that I even catch myself doing. And it's interesting. I want to go back to what you said a little earlier about stress and mental well-being versus physical well-being. Is you're right. If we're physically sick, we know we maybe like have a cough or we have a fever, we don't feel good like that way. And we feel we can justify maybe taking care of ourselves. But we might not even be aware that our stress level, our anxiety which is producing all that cortisol and giving us that weight gain, right, is actually an illness. We don't think of it that way. We think it's just acceptable. So it is so important to start paying attention to our stress level and seeing, is that what's affecting my weight gain? Is that what's affecting my sleep patterns, which also, as we know, affect the weight gain?
Exactly.
Right? Like, is there too much cortisol floating around in my body right now? Why am I eating at night? As you just asked me about the stress eating, I'm not a big stress emotional eater, but I can notice if I'm a little sad or feeling lonely that maybe I find comfort in food sometimes.
Glad to hear that, because most of us practicing that habit actually. It's not the problem that we are practicing, but the problem is that we are not trying to find another way to compensate that need actually. Mostly whenever we are struggling emotionally, we are choosing the more easiest way. The biggest problem is that our brain likes easiest way. If you feel a little bit down in terms of energy, just take the sugar. You are gonna feel that dopamine spike for a 30 minutes, but then it's gonna drop again. With time, our tolerance increase and we start to see the negative effects on the physical health as well. Whatever we are doing on the emotional part will be reflecting itself as physically, but it doesn't mean that whatever we are doing on the physical side as well, not gonna reflect itself emotionally. Because this question works in the both direction actually, emotional to physical, physical to emotional. For example, emotional eating, always known as a kind of bad habit, but also exercise can have a negative impact on our health if we are not doing mindful exercise. If we are not aware what we are doing, if we are doing it so much for our bodies, it's gonna be bad at the end. So the cortisol is not a problem, but if you are experiencing that cortisol whole time while you are in the work, while you are trying to relax, so if you are tense all the time, it's not going to create good effects on your physical health as well.
It's so true because it's really about balance. Everything in life is about balance. So, if you're eating once in a while, don't worry. If it's a couple of nights you had something happen at work that was stressful, don't worry about it. It's the overall pattern that we're looking for, right? It's like the continuing doing it. Don't beat yourself up if 1 or 2 days, maybe even a week, you have this. But if it becomes a pattern or a habit, then that's probably something that you want to address.
Exactly. As you know, there is a popular knowledge that 21 day is a habit building day. If you are doing it for 21 days, you will be creating that habit.
What's interesting is they say it's 21 days to build a habit. I know there's a little controversy on that, but it's a lot longer to break a habit, which I think is interesting.
Well Together podcast.
Dear listener, if you're considering joining us for a mental wellness retreat at the TheLifeCo centres, we have an exciting surprise for you. Visit TheLifeCo.com to discover more about what awaits you.
So I like what you said, and you brought up exercise because people think, oh, well, if I exercise, that'll combat the stress. But it doesn't always. Again, it's about balance and figuring out what works for you because different things work for different people. So if somebody finds themselves in this loop of stress eating and it's been going on and they're noticing some weight gain and their mood just isn't where it needs to be, what are just a couple quick things they could do? Not quick, but a couple simple things they can do to kind of break that cycle.
I would be saying the awareness is the key in here. You need to be aware that you are doing the emotional eating. So you need to be sure that you know the signs before doing it. Here, most of my guests, whenever they experience these kind of occasions, I always ask them if they are questioning those occasions or if they are recording those occasions. One of the very quick exercise they can do after the awareness stage though, firstly, we need to ask to ourselves if anything happens emotionally stressfully, which lead us to eating behavior later on, or if anything happens before we feel really in the ultimate points of the emotions, like very angry or very happy as well. When we consider we are celebrating our birthdays with that sugary cake all the time, it's very understandable that we are going towards the sugary food or emotional eating in the happy moments as well, or in the sad moments too. Whenever we are answering that question, yes, I just experienced a stressful event or very sad event, we need to take ourselves from that environment immediately. I will be giving very quick tip. If you don't suffer with any heart problem, so always discuss with your doctor as well in terms of your exercise options. Little bit increasing your heartbeat will be grounding yourself. While your body is trying to provide enough oxygen, it's not gonna able to think about the emotional eating. The other one, which is my favorite one.
So you're saying like do a little exercise of cardio.
Exactly.
To raise your heart level and breathe.
Exactly.
Which is why breath work is so
important.
effective as well. Yeah.
But changing your environment, not staying in that environment.
Get outside, go to the gym, go to take a class, do something. Just
exactly.
leave whatever you're doing.
Exactly. It will be creating huge awareness and perspective change. At the same time, there is one quick thing you can use after you create the awareness. You can record yourself or you can write a journal. Basically, before doing the emotional eating, just explain yourself the promises you are giving to yourself. Oh, I'm gonna eat that cake because that day was very stressful. I earned that cake. I'm gonna feel happy after that. Just record those ones. Later on, enjoy with that emotional eating as much as possible. Wait for 30 minutes and record yourself again. Later on, whenever you are gonna do emotional eating, just listen them again and again to see that if really this is working coping mechanism. Because at the end of the day, this is how we are trying to cope with the stress. When we see that it's not working, it will go away immediately.
That is brilliant. So just get out your phone, take a voice memo, record it. It's basically holding yourself accountable with no judgment.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the thing.
It's like a little experiment. But then you realize, oh, wow, I'm worth it. Maybe I don't need to do this.
That's the thing, actually.
I like
and when
that.
you are going to do it again, you can kind of assess and make a really good decision making. Also, there's a huge decision making processes. It's happening while you are doing the emotional eating. So it's going to give you really grounding basis. Whenever you have another experience, just put it on the record and listen it. You will be understanding yourself much more better.
I love that. You know, once you start holding yourself accountable, it's a lot easier to make good decisions because you're doing it for yourself, for your own like self-love, well-being versus doing it because you think you should or somebody's telling you you should. Then it feels like work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I strongly suggest recording, as you said. It's
I love
easy.
that.
Always we are carrying those phones, so let's use them much more meaningfully. So whenever you listen that voice, it's going to create huge impact on your emotional eating or any behavior you are trying to leave basically, which is not functioning anymore.
That's a great tip, Zafer. Thank you. I think you kind of answered my next question partially, but I'm going to ask it anyway,
Please.
Because it might stimulate some other things that our listeners would want to hear. And that's how can we address the emotional and mental aspects to prevent and effectively manage weight gain? So that's a little different than what we just talked about when you find yourself in the loop of emotional eating. What kind of things can we prevent and help us manage that weight gain when we feel it kind of coming on?
So first of all, the most important thing is understanding the relationship of yourself with the food. In that dimension, mindful eating is really important. Mindful eating puts a kind of awareness while you are eating without creating a kind of dysfunctional eating. In those stressful days, try to see how food supports your emotional well-being. Try to see how different kinds of food, like sugar, carb, or fat, is affecting you. Because our body is like a feedback loop. Whatever we are giving to it, it's going to give a reaction towards it. Understanding the emotional relationship with food will be a very significant impact. After you had that awareness, it will be really important to create activities, to create eating experiences much more meaningfully. For example, I will be saying most of the emotional eatings happen in the late hours in the night. You don't expect it. It comes very suddenly. There is this one specific food in your mind. You want to eat it. For me, to be honest, it's mostly sugar. It's like a very fudgy brownie, I will be saying. In the middle of the night. I didn't plan that, but it just comes to my mind. It's actually one of the tactics I use to notice that it's emotional eating. If I am desiring one type of the food, it can be really emotional eating. If I am specifically targeting that food, it means that I am going to that rabbit hole again. So increasing my positive relationship with the food, I always question myself in terms of if I'm going to eat that food right now, am I going to enjoy as much as if I'm going to eat that food later on in an occasion? So let's create eating events. Let's give more efforts to create those events, not in the middle of night.
More intentional.
Exactly, more intentional.
I really like that. So being a wellness expert myself and having a plant-based diet, I'm healthy, but I catch myself in a loop sometimes too. And I got myself in a 3-month loop over the holidays. And even though I have all these tools in my toolbox, I couldn't quite get myself out of it. I needed a hard reset. And I actually came to the TheLifeCo Wellbeing Center and did a 7-week detox. And I have another important question. You brought up earlier about dopamine, and we know dopamine is a short-term fix. It's addicting. And yes, we get it from sugar, but we also get it from social media, right?
Exactly.
We get it from those likes and those follows and those comments. And we're in a world right now where technology has infiltrated every aspect of our existence. And it often precedes our well-being. I know I get stuck in that loop. So what strategies can individuals adopt to help build resilience and prioritize self-care in today's fast-paced world? Because I think that's the big problem. I can sit there and be on my phone and not pay attention to anything else and maybe even mindlessly snack while I do it. So what can we do?
Right now, we cannot take ourselves out of the technology, as you say. So we should understand how to use it in a beneficial way, because there are many different apps we can use for the benefits on our physical and the mental health as well. But I would strongly suggest anyone who is struggling with that, cutting out the social media or the phone out of the mornings and in the evenings routine. As you said, it creates huge dopamine spike in the mornings and in the evenings, which I would not suggest anyone, because that dopamine spike will be creating a reinforcement of the addiction to use the social media later on.
Okay, that's a good tip for sure. The dopamine is addictive. So cut it out in the morning and cut it out in the evening. Tell yourself you can have it at lunch or you can have it an hour here or there.
Actually creating a kind of lapses through your day while you are using the phones, any technological devices or social media, I would be saying.
So can technology play a positive role in supporting our mental wellness?
Exactly, actually, because we have many technological devices to monitor our mental states as well. So, for example, right now in the TheLifeCo, we are having emotive device, which is a neurofeedback EEG-based device to understand different mental states. Also, we have many different kind of apps we can use to increase our meditation practices, to increase our exercises, which will be in turn creating huge positive impact on our mental wellness.
Wonderful. So tell me a little bit more about the emotive device. I know it has something to do with brain activity. How can this data guide us towards better mental health and wellness?
So basically, it helps us to create a personalized wellness programs, because it's going to create a real-time feedback about how your brain is functioning in the moment while we are recording. So it gives information about 6 different variables: attention, interest, excitement, engagement, stress, and the relaxation as well. So in that way, we can understand those information and we can tailor your own detox program, mental detox program here to experience much more individual approach.
So that's great. So that's here at the TheLifeCo.
Exactly.
What awaits individuals wanting to improve their emotional and mental well-being by joining a retreat at the TheLifeCo Center? Like, why come to the TheLifeCo for mental well-being?
So basically, TheLifeCo's base foundation will be already creating huge impact. The detox will be creating huge understanding about the relationship between the food. Also, it will be giving much more mindfulness and awareness how the body is dealing with the digestion as well. While the detox will be dealing the big part of it, also we will be having different yoga classes, meditation classes, as well the biohacking devices too. The biohacking devices are very quick ways to increase our mental resilience while you are staying here. By using also the emotive device, we will be analyzing our guests' brain activity to suggest them 3 different kind of programs actually.
Wonderful. So I know biohacking is what he's talking about, which is just biological ways that we can improve our well-being. So that's what the biohacking is. There's so many here at the TheLifeCo. There's so many that are included in your retreat, which is wonderful. And then, of course, there's some things that are a little bit more advanced that you can add on depending on your needs. I love the new mental well-being corner they have in the clinic. Bravo on that.
Thank you so much. In that corner, actually, we are expecting our guests to create their own journeys while trying to use between different biohacking devices. We have many, but we are not going to suggest everything to one guest. They don't have enough time to use all of them. Basically, by using the emotive device, we will be creating a personalized plans on the mental wellness to decrease their memory retention problems, to decrease the brain fog as well. Also, we will be focusing on the emotional well-being on the side that to increase their mood a little bit. As well, we will be a little bit supporting them on the stress management side too. But it's not going to happen only with the emotive. It's going to happen with the mental consultations. It's going to happen with the workshops, biohacking, this whole holistic journey.
Wonderful. So now at the TheLifeCo, people can come and not just cleanse their physical body, but their mental part as well. And they'll come in, they'll have a consultation with one of the specialists here, and it will be individualized treatment protocol for them, just for them on their individual mental needs as well as physical. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge, Zafer. You're a wonderful guest here on the Well Together podcast. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. I was really happy to be here with you as well.
You're welcome. We look forward to having you on again and hearing about when this all starts. So for everybody listening, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to check out the wonderful library of the Well Together podcast. There's so many interesting topics there for you to learn from. Thank you. And until next time, bye.
Bye. Take care.
Well Together podcast. Inspiring stories from the TheLifeCo.
Tune in to Jason Ward's journey as he sought respite from the daily grind. Upon hearing a wake-up call, he decided to join an inspirational mental wellness retreat at the TheLifeCo.
I'm Jason Ward. I'm a father of 3. I'm very, very busy, looking, after my kids and obviously maintaining a business as well. So there's a lot of stresses to sort of financially and obviously supporting everything, trying to make everybody happy. In my life, I support an awful lot of people and I do, and I hold them up and they thrive, but I never spend time to look after myself. So when I started researching to try and find possible answers for that, and then started doing possible things, it just wasn't seeming to be working. So I come across TheLifeCo, and obviously it's a package, which sort of led me to the fact that, you're in one place to deal with that, and you've got no other responsibilities. There's no responsibilities, they're all taken off you. Take that burden, let somebody else deal with everyday life and allow you to just relax and I suppose really sort of enjoy and get back to who you are, as opposed to being for everybody else all the time. And, you can't keep pulling on a rope. There's a time where it can snap, so you've got to take a break. You've got to take a break. So the part of TheLifeCo coming was to give me a chance to have that time for myself, and obviously I've got my mentally as well, emotionally, and also physically to get my body back in shape. I feel it's really helped me, actually, to take that time out.
Well Together podcast.
Are you ready to create the best version of yourself? Your transformation journey starts at TheLifeCo. With over 18 years of experience, TheLifeCo Wellbeing is committed to helping you achieve optimal health and well-being with a unique range of programs and retreats. Holistic well-being experiences that promote longevity and meaning in your life await you at TheLifeCo centers in Bodrum, Antalya, and Phuket. Visit thelifeco.com today to start your wellness journey.
Thank you for listening Well Together podcast.